Hi, good afternoon. Thanks, Reliance General Insurance team for making this event happen. I'm Dr. Sriram Krishnamurthy, a consultant orthopedic surgeon from MGM Healthcare. So I know we have been all facing an unprecedented situation right now as a pandemic throughout the world, and you have all been working back home even in these tough times. And we are all working in things which were not supposed, like we don't go to the office anymore, we don't have the luxury of sitting in a proper desk, and we all face certain medical and other ailments because of this ongoing process. So we thought of addressing this with a small talk session, decoding the ergonomic style of people who are working from home, and we'll see to that it's more of a didactic session. So initially we'll have a brief discussion on what is the right way to do, and then we'll take some questions and answer, and we'll take it forward. So to start off, ergonomics. What is ergonomics? So ergonomics is a science of designing the workstation to fit within the capabilities and limit the worker's disease or ailments. And the goal is to design the office station in such a way that it is comfortable and it doesn't cause a long-standing ailment to the person who is working in that particular office. So what are the benefits of ergonomics? You avoid fatigue, thereby you give a better productivity, thereby your company grows much better, and it doesn't makes you work in a pleasant situation and doesn't give you any discomfort. So we have designed a 10 simpler things that you can do, so that even at your home you can have a luxury of being in an office and make yourself ergonomically, posturally more better, thereby you take it more easier and comfortable to work with. So starting off with the first thing, the most common thing that we see these days is people don't work in a proper workstation. They don't have a proper table, a proper chair. Even if they do have one, they don't have a proper arm support. So your arm support is the first priority if you look into it. So the arm has to have a chair has to have an arm support, so that when you work, your arm needs to be supported. So thereby you don't put a lot of strain on your shoulder. If your arm is not supported, you put your hand down, and thereby you put a lot of strain on your shoulder and the neck muscle, you end up having neck pain. So arm support is the first priority. Coming next, keep the weight of the head directly above your neck. It is neither down nor up. It is always straight as much as possible. We are all humans. We cannot expect people to be a full 8 hours or 10 hours of work in a very rigid position, but as far as possible, try to be conscious, try to keep your head directly above your neck. And though when I talk about the neck muscle, we are talking about the cervical spine, the spine underneath your neck muscle. Doing so, the next is don't slouch forward. Try to keep your body upright, just like your neck keeping straight above your head being straight above your neck. Your body also has to be upright and sturdy. You don't have to slouch forward, or crane forward. By doing so, you put undue strain on your neck spinal muscles and your lumbar spinal muscles. So invariably you see more people complaining of neck pain and low back pain because you are not supporting your spine adequately. This is the second and third points. Coming to the fourth one, monitor at the eye level. So your monitor has to be directly at the eye level. So it is neither down nor up. This is one of the most common complaints that we have been facing in our OPD practices, people who especially work from home. So what they complain is they always come with a neck pain. This is predominantly because they either work with an iPad looking down, or they lie down and work keeping their neck upright. So the ideal thing is to have your monitor and the eye at the same level. How will you do that with a laptop? Is just keep a couple of books or something which is big enough, so that you raise your table's height such a way that the laptop and your eye are at the same level. So this might be looking very simple, but they are really effective tips. If you do it, definitely your fatigability will be less and your productivity will be much higher. Coming to the next thing, keep your mouse closer to next is the phone jamming. I don't think your particular department deals with a lot of phone jamming, but people, if you do so, don't have your phone especially under your neck and always support in such a way. Either if you are all through the phone, please use a headphones or please use a loudspeaker, or keep yourself simple. It is not possible to always keep a phone and just keeping slanting your neck to one side, and thereby you put a lot of strain on the neck muscles again. See, I repeatedly say this again, the most common complaints with the people working from home is going to be the neck pain, the shoulder pain and the low back pain. These are all easily modifiable. We don't need any x-rays, we don't need any MRIs. It is purely a postural improper posture, I would say rather. So if you can correct those simple things, it will definitely be much effective for you on long term. So now talking about this, phone jamming will also be a more problematic to your neck. So try avoiding it. Simpler thing, use headphones or speakers. Next coming, keep your mouse closer. See, I see most of the people now use keypads, being working from your home with a laptop. So you keep your hand moving a lot. See, if you try to count an average at least 1000, 2000 times, you're keeping your hand moving from your keyboard to your touchpad. So try to keep a separate mouse as you do in your office. Try to keep it closer to the keyboard. If you're right-handed, keep it on the right. If you're left-handed, keep it on the left. But make sure that you have a separate mouse. That makes a huge difference again. And even while using mouse, there are a lot of people, recently we are seeing an increased trend of people complaining of numbness in the finger, which orthopedically we call as carpal tunnel syndrome. That is, the nerve that goes through your wrist becomes lot of tension when you keep your fingers always like this. So ideally, when you use a mouse, have a proper mouse pad with a cushion or a support underneath, so that your wrist is always in this position. Okay, it is not like this. When you do this, the nerves go through an undue strain in this position. So use a mouse pad and with a proper cushion in that. Next, monitor distance. Now initially we talked about the height of the monitor. It has to be at your eye level. So your eyeball movement can happen only to 30 degrees. It cannot go a long scale. So it has to be in 30 degrees. So it should be in this level. Similarly, how far a monitor can be, it should neither be too close nor it should be too far. Just like what we call in our school, stand at one arm distance. It is just at one arm distance, at a reachable distance, your mouse has to be there. So your 30-degree angle can easily reach the top and the bottom of your screen. So keep it at the arm's distance, keep it at your eye level. And next most important is like looking back, right? What you see right back might be a beautiful location wise, but it's ideal to always face the opposite side. By saying so, I'm telling you again, keep your monitor opposite, like don't face the screen, don't face the glare. Look at the opposite direction. The more you face the glare, your eye will go into fatigability. You will not be able to work for long. So for a short duration, I can understand, yes, but for a long duration, avoid a screen glare. Take it to either a natural or a neutral background in your backdrop. And the same time, how your light should be. When I'm talking about this screen glare, the next question is how your light should be. You should have a 3-source light. That's what ideally you have to have. You should have a natural light coming from the side, not from the back or not from the front. It should be from the side. And an artificial light. It can be your tube lights or a study lamp or something, but it should be from the top down. So you should have 2 light sources, one from top down, and the natural light source, either a window or a door or a balcony, it should be coming from the side. Thereby it reduces your undue strain in the eye muscle. Then comes the new concept which is coming, which is called the computer eye syndrome. So initially I talked more about your neck muscle, your shoulder muscle, your back muscle. Now moving on to your eye, the computer eye syndrome is slowly catching up. The people are getting fatigable with the eye pain. There's a lot of strain, they're not able to sleep. There are a lot of complaints pertaining to the ophthalmologist, especially the eye per se. So this has been recently termed after the pandemic as computer eye syndrome. So the treatment for that, or the simple tips for that, is what we call as 20-20-20 rule. Out of all the discussion today, if you want to take one particular thing, the take home message, this is going to be this 20-20-20 rule, which means after a break of every 20 minutes, look at something which is 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Very, very easy. After every 20 minutes of work, look at something which is 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Thereby your eye has both a near looking adjustment and the far looking, just like a camera. It has both focus, which is focusing closer and far. You have to use both your muscles, otherwise your eye will become fatigued. So initially when you look closer, if you are looking for that for say for 8 to 10 hours, your eye, when you move away, it will be very, very tired and fatigued. So try to readjust your focal length, just looking here, then far away, then coming back, so that your eye doesn't get into unnecessary stresses, and thereby you will avoid going and meeting an ophthalmologist for that sake. So today's session, if at all, one thing take home message is going to be 20-20-20 rule. I'll repeat again. For every 20 minutes, take 20-second break and look at something which is 20 feet apart. Simple. Then the last thing, we finished your neck, we finished your shoulder, the back, the eye. The next, the least that everyone takes importance is the thigh and the feet support. You should sit in a proper chair, that like I told you before, with a proper arm rest. Similarly, your thigh has to be well supported. The thigh, the knee is there. It has to be as closer to your knee, so that the thigh doesn't strain. And at the same time, your feet has to be firm on the ground. It should not be on the tiptoe. It should not be too low. It should be firm on the feet. So that has to be adjusted in such a way. So like I told, you had this carpal tunnel syndrome for people who are not using the mouse. Similarly, we are getting something called tarsal tunnel syndrome or other neurological complications or symptoms pertaining to the both legs, which is it can be easily avoided if you have a proper chair with a good support. So a thigh support and an arm support. So I'll brief it again, everything from top to bottom. For your eye, keep your monitor at like 1 feet away, and it should be at eye level, so that you don't put your strain there. And take a 20-20-20 rule system and make it as a routine in your practice. Then coming to your shoulder, keep a proper arm support, and neck has to be straight. It has to be supporting your head. The head just directly up your neck. Don't crane forward, just be as erect as possible. Have a proper thigh support, proper foot support. If you do all this 10, and I missed the screen glare, so don't have a screen glare, proper eye lightning, both artificial and natural. So if you do all these 10 things, mostly you will not end up meeting us. You can simply sort out most of the problems, or we will not even face a problem. We can avoid it even before that. So like you all know, prevention is better than cure. So even before we face one, we can address it. So I think this 10 points will be useful for you in future. I know we are working in this pandemic situation. Stay safe, stay alert, stay informed, and please take care of health, both from the COVID and from all these simple maneuvers. Thank you. I think we have few questions which is already there, and we will be happy to answer few more if you can please share in the FB Live. Now I'll take on few questions which is already there.
So firstly, all these points, you can summarize for our Tamil viewers.
Okay. So there's first request, like we can have all these points put in simple Tamil words. I'll repeat again in Tamil now. நீங்கள் நம்ம இந்த பேண்டமிக் சுச்சுவேஷனில் எல்லோரும் வீட்டில் வேலை பார்க்கும்போது அவங்களுக்கு சில கஷ்டத்தில் ப்ராப்பரான பொசிஷனில் உட்காந்து பண்ண முடியாதனால நிறைய மஸ்க்லோஸ்கெலிட்டல், அதாவது ஆர்த்தோபெடிக் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, ஆஃப்தால் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, சைக்கட்ரிக் ப்ராப்ளம்ஸுமே இருக்குது. ஸோ அதை எப்படி நம்ம அட்ரஸ் பண்ணலாங்கிறத நம்ம இந்த செஷனை பார்த்தோம். ஒரு 10 முக்கியமான குறிப்பு தான், அதை நான் சுருக்கமாக சொல்லிடுறேன் தமிழில். ஒன்று உங்கள் ஐயும் உங்கள் கண்ணும் உங்கள் மானிட்டர், ஸ்க்ரீன் மானிட்டரும் ஒரே லெவலில் இருக்கணும். ஓகேங்களா? ரெண்டாவது, அந்த மானிட்டர் கரெக்டாக ஒரு கை டிஸ்டன்ஸில், இந்த டிஸ்டன்ஸில் தான் இருக்கணும். ரொம்ப தள்ளியும் இருக்கக்கூடாது, ரொம்ப பக்கத்துலையும் இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஸோ அப்போனா தான் உங்கள் கண்ணு அந்த ஃபுல் மானிட்டர் ஸ்க்ரீனையும் ஈஸியாக பார்க்குறதுக்கான ஒரு ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்கும். மூணாவது, 20 நிமிஷம் வேலை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 20 செகண்ட் மட்டும் ஏதாவது ஒரு தொலைவில் இருக்கிற ஒரு பொருளை நீங்கள் பார்க்கணும். அப்போ தான் உங்கள் கண்ணோட மசில் கிட்ட பார்வைக்கும் சரி, தூர பார்வைக்கும் சரி, வேறு மசில் இருக்குது. அது ரெண்டுக்குமே அது அப்போ தான் அக்கமடேட் ஆகும். அடுத்து 4வது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கழுத்து வலி வராமல் இருக்கணும்னா 2 விஷயம். ஒன்று உங்கள் கை நல்லா சப்போர்ட்டடாக இருக்கணும். நம்ம உட்கார சேரில் ஆர்ம் சப்போர்ட்டுன்னு சொல்கிற மாதிரி அந்த சப்போர்ட்டில் கை இருக்கும் பட்சத்தில் தான், இல்லாட்டி கை கீழே தொங்கிட்டே இருக்கும். கழுத்து தொங்கும் போது கழுத்துக்கு அன்னெசரி ஸ்ட்ரெயின் வரும். ஸோ அதனால கை சப்போர்ட் இருக்கிற ஒரு சேர் தான் யூஸ் பண்ணணும். 5வது கழுத்துக்கு மேலே நேராக முடிஞ்ச வரைக்கும் ஹெட்டை வச்சுக்கோங்க. ரொம்ப இப்படி தொங்கி பார்க்குற மாதிரியோ மேலே பார்க்குற மாதிரியோ இருந்தால் அதுவுமே ப்ராப்ளமேட்டிக்காக இருக்கும். 6வது நீங்கள் உட்காந்துருக்கிற சேரில் ரொம்ப முன்னாடி சாயாதீங்க. அது அன்டியூ ஸ்ட்ரெயின் ஆன் தி கீழே, அந்த முதுகு தண்டு கீழ்ப்பகுதியில் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு அன்னெசரியாக ஸ்ட்ரெயின் உருவாக்கும். அது ஃப்யூச்சரில் டிஸ்க் ப்ராப்ளமும் மாறதுக்காகவும் வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி நீங்கள் ரொம்ப தள்ளி இருக்குது உங்கள் ஸ்க்ரீனோ நீங்கள் இருக்கிற இடம்னு நினச்சிங்கன்னா உங்கள் சேரை ஜஸ்ட் அப்படி புல் பண்ணி முன்னாடி போயிட்டீங்கன்னா நீங்கள் அட்லீஸ்ட் அந்தளவுக்கு பெண்ட் பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியம் இருக்காது. 7வது வந்து ஸ்க்ரீன் கிளேர், கண்ணுக்காக அதுவுமே லைட்டிங் வந்து சரியாக இருக்கணும். ரொம்ப இருட்டிலே இருக்கக்கூடாது. அதே மாதிரி நீங்கள் ஒரு வெளிச்சத்தை ஃபேஸ் பண்ணி உட்காரக்கூடாது. வெளிச்சம் வந்து நமக்கு பின்பக்கமாக இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கணும், இல்லை சைடில் இருக்கிறது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப நல்லது. லைட் நம்ம நம்ம வீட்டில் யூஸ் பண்ணுற டியூப் லைட்டோ அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறது மேலேருந்து வர நல்லது ஆக்சுவலாக. நெக்ஸ்ட்டு வந்துட்டு தொடையும் பாதமும் அது ரெண்டுக்குமே நம்ம பொதுவாக நிறைய பேர் சப்போர்ட் கொடுக்கறது இல்லை. ஸோ அதுக்கும் நீங்கள் உட்காந்துருக்க சோஃபா, அந்த சேர்லையோ நீங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணுற சோஃபாலையோ எதுலேயோ ஒன்று அந்த தொடையை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரியும் அதே நேரம் பாதம் தரையில் நல்லா கரெக்டாக இருக்கிற மாதிரியும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. கடைசி முக்கியமானது வந்து இப்போ ரொம்ப அதிகமாக வருது நாங்கள் சொல்கிறது கார்பல் டனல் சிண்ட்ரோம்னு சொல்கிறோம். அது நம்ம மோஸ்ட்லி நம்ம கீபேட்லேயே நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணுறதுனால, மவுஸ் பேட் கீபேட் எல்லாமே ஒரே இதில் பண்ணுறதுனால அந்த கை எப்பயுமே கீழ் நோக்கி இருக்கிறதுனால அங்கே இருக்கிற நரம்பு அழுத்துது. ஸோ தனியாக ஒரு மவுஸ் வச்சுக்கோங்க. மவுஸுக்கும் அதுக்கான மவுஸ் அந்த பேடை வச்சுட்டு அதில் ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு ஹம்ப் இருக்கும், அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிற மவுஸ் பேட் யூஸ் பண்ணுறது ஈவன் மோர் பெட்டர். இந்த 10 விஷயத்தை நீங்கள் கரெக்டாக பண்ணிங்கன்னா நீங்கள் ஒரு மருத்துவருக்கு போக வேண்டிய அவசியமே இருக்காது. வரது முன் காப்பதே நல்லது அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நீங்கள் வரதுக்கு முன்னாடியே சில விஷயத்தை அவாய்ட் பண்ணிடலாம். நன்றி. ஸோ நம்ம அடுத்து வந்து சில கேள்வியில் உங்கள் சைட்லேருந்து கேட்டிருக்கீங்க, அதுக்கு நம்ம பதிலை பார்க்கலாம். கொஷின்ஸ்? Okay.
And how do we prevent it?
Sure. The first question is what is plantar fasciitis and how do we prevent it? Yeah, this is one of the most common symptoms that we see in the middle aged especially. They usually have a feet pain, especially the lower part of the feet will be very painful, predominantly in the morning when you stand up. Night when you sleep you will have nothing. When you put your feet first time in the morning or you sit for 5 hours and you put your feet down, you will have pain in your feet. It is a sign that you are stretching your ligament a lot. It is straining a ligament a lot rather than stretching, it is straining your ligament. There can be some medical reasons why you get plantar fasciitis. We will have to rule out your diabetes, your thyroid, your cholesterol, or recent increase in the weight gain, or if you have increased your physical activity suddenly. Last, your footwear. If any of these are there, they will have to be addressed. Even though they have to be addressed, parallelly we will have to work on some stretching exercises. There are so many videos, even we will probably share in our own channel in future. You have a lot of exercises to stretch your ankle joint and your plantar fascia, the foot. If you do that and keep your foot supple, like you can immerse in your warm water with salt, and every time before you put your feet down, try to stretch it, and wearing a proper footwear. We'll usually suggest a slight heel raise and a proper MCR one. If you do all this, definitely plantar fasciitis can be easily treated.
Due to constantly working on laptop, I'm facing pain in my fingers and wrist. What do I do in order to relieve that?
So the next question is like what we discussed before. They're complaining of pain in the fingers and wrist after working for a long duration. Like I said in the talk before, the pain will be the initial part. Some people even have numbness, particularly these 3 fingers. We call it as carpal tunnel syndrome. See, the nerve to this particular 3 fingers goes to a small tunnel in your wrist, which is called the carpal tunnel. So this, when you are straight, when your hand is straight or it's lower down, it doesn't cause a trouble. But when your wrist is always up, the nerve has to take a longer track. It gets strained in the small tunnel. The tunnel is like this, the nerve goes through like this. When you stretch, it gets unduly strained here. So ideally, like how do you avoid it is, first I'll start about how to avoid. How to avoid is make yourself more comfortable in working. Use a proper mouse pad. Your arm has to be up, it should not be always facing, like it should be not like this, it should be always neutral, or it can even face down. So by doing so, you can avoid coming. Even if it comes, what happens is now you'll have some problem with pains and a tingling sensation or numbness. So what we initially start off with is, again we'll have to see whether there is any other cause that is causing it, like I told for plantar fasciitis. And next step is giving you a night splint. Especially in the night when you keep your hand like this, is what you'll wake up suddenly in the middle of the night and do like this, thinking your finger is no more. That is the classical symptom of a carpal tunnel syndrome. So we will put you initially on the night splints, we'll put you on some medications, we'll see how you respond to it. If you don't get better, then probably we'll do a small local anesthesia procedure to release your nerve from the trap. So this is when you get into like 1 in 100 may end up there, but my recommendation is to prevent it by doing simple maneuvers that you told you now.
So on that note itself, somebody has asked, Can carpal tunnel syndrome relapse back post the treatment?
Yeah, we have a question like someone has asked, will the carpal tunnel syndrome relapse? If the direct answer is yes, it can, but the incidence is not too much, probably around 10 to 15%, because we release the tissue there. So after surgery, I'm talking about. If you release the tissue there, when the body tries to heal, and if you do all the wrong things even after that, then definitely it can relapse. So even after the carpal tunnel release, you are expected to give some rest and treat it with due respect.
Right. So one of the viewers would like to know, by working, by sitting, what are the simple exercises, about 3 or 4, that they can do during work hours in the break to relieve the neck pain and all that?
Okay. The next question is simple exercises that you can do even while you work, when you sit, rather than specifically focusing time for that. One of those is what I told you, 20-20-20. I'll be happy to even repeat it again. For every 20 minutes, 20 seconds, look at something 20 feet apart for your eye. Coming to the shoulder, any stretching is good. I don't want you to focus on one particular muscle or one particular thing. Any stretches, like your finger stretches, your arm, elbow stretches, your shoulder stretches, you can just stand and bend down and touch your toes and squat down and get up. Any movement, your muscle and your ligaments are tend to be flexible. They need to move. The more you keep them and rest and you don't use it, they become fatigued, they become tired. So we need to stimulate them. They all have some receptors. They are not just it's not a static structure. They all have some receptors between the brain and the muscle and the ligament. We call proprioception. They all carry the senses of the position where you stay. So you need to trigger it once in a while, so that they get back to the normalcy. This is not something they are intended to do, because we are in a different atmosphere today. We are doing it, but the muscles, bones, ligament, everything needs some constant turnover movement. So take any break, take a walk if possible, climb up the stairs and come down. If you cannot even move from your chair, just do some simple stretches. That's more than enough.
So any demonstrations for neck?
Neck in particular, say we encourage doing more resistant exercise. Simple stretches is fine, like you push it up, you push it down, left, right. This is the simple number one. Second thing is, now do it in the opposite side. Like you keep your hand here and push it to the opposite side. Thereby you put resistance to this muscle. And similarly, keep here and push this side. Keep here and push up. Keep down and push. You are trying to do, first was you are encouraging the same side movement. The second is your hand is pushing in the opposite direction. You are trying to do in the opposite direction. These two will be good enough for neck. And third thing, probably when you retire from your work, when you go back to your bed, probably you can keep some warm packs under your neck. That will soothe your muscle and it will be more flexible and add elasticity to your muscles.
So next question would be, my legs start paining and I feel some swelling in ankles towards the evening. Is it because of my posture?
The next question was, I get swelling and in the ankle at the end of the day. Yeah, like I told you, please, that's for the least, we all worry about the neck, shoulder, head, everything, even the aesthetic part of it, but we never give due respect to our foot and ankle. See, they are equally important. That is in fact more important to keep you moving. So when you sit, please place a chair in such a way that you keep your foot down. If it has to be flat on the floor, you should not be in tiptoe, or it should not be too low that you're not able to properly place it. So if you don't do that, again, see, the nerves are all going or are in a tight compartments. If you do all non-anatomical positions, they will intend to have some struggle. They will have some problems on long term. So try to place a foot firmly down, number one. Try to do some stretches for your foot and try to take a break and walk. The more you sit ideal, the more the muscles are becoming tightened, the more they are not as elastic it's supposed to be. So, or even one more tip is probably at the end of the day for your neck. If you have neck pain, you keep hot water for your neck. You can have a bucket half filled with water and keep your feet placed in that. And if you have swelling, Epsom salt is available. You can add to the hot water or lukewarm water and keep your foot immersed in that, so that those complications can be sorted out.
On that note, when does somebody know that they realize that they need a medical intervention in continuation of the pain?
So next question was like, when do we need to meet a doctor in spite of doing all these maneuvers? See, the simple thing is, if you do all those that we tell you now and still your pain is not getting better, or it is really troubling. For example, if I especially when you talk about the numbness. Anything to do with numbness, severe pain, not getting better with simple medications like home side, you might have Dolo or paracetamol. In spite of that, you're not tolerable and it's bothering you, then you need to visit a doctor.
Somebody has asked, I'm having more back pain post-delivery, and now I cannot sit continuously at my desk for more than 1 to 2 hours. Please suggest what should I do?
The next question was like post-delivery back pains and what to do when at workplace they have some struggle. See, it's a very common symptoms that post-delivery, and most of them put the blame on the anesthetist giving spinal caused the problem. They were all fine till the spinal. After the anesthesia, they had the trouble, but scientifically it is not proven. We think it's more to be a myth, but science will have to evolve even further to find out. The most common understanding is, see, when you're pregnant, your muscles in the abdomen are getting weaker as your abdomen is stretching. So after delivery, most of them don't have a strong abdominal muscle. So that doesn't support your back. So the more body weight in the front, the more your spine arches to the front. There is not enough core muscle to support like you have before your delivery. So these are all things that you can do to get back on long term. But what to do at the earliest, like simple thing to do is, you can do something we routinely call it as anti-gravity exercise. You can just lie on your end of the couch and put your leg down just to stretch your leg, or just lie down on your bed and try to lift your torso up. This will stretch your back. That will relieve some of the muscle tension. But on long term, if you ask me, think about weight loss, think about muscle building, especially the core muscle building. They will definitely help.
Right. So somebody has asked, and this goes out for people who has to stand mandatorily at for long hours in their work, security people or anybody for that matter. What should be your tips for them who has to, by profession, stand for long hours?
So the next question is completely opposite to what we started talking today. There are certain set of people who the profession demands them to stand for long. They have been always standing, predominantly the securities, the guards. There are certain people who require standing as their profession. So for them, I would say like it's good that you are standing. The sitting is actually more bad than the standing. In fact, there is a term called I think sitting is the new cocaine or something. They are more addictive. So standing is in fact good, but one bad thing I would say is they end up having lot of like because of the gravity, lot of blood pools down in the foot, and it has to pump against the gravity. So that doesn't happen if you stand for very long. So like if you see these people who stand, teachers, securities, they are all very commonly have a problem called varicose vein. They have the veins being dilated, the blood is clotted more in the foot. Initially they won't have problem, 20-30 years later they'll have problem. So it is better they take a break. For them, sitting is a break. So take a break, like every 2 hours you take a break for 10 minutes, sit down, keep your feet up. When you go home, keep your feet up, keep warm water, and even some stockinets are available to keep the blood circulation intact. So you can try all those. They will help in people who stand for long.
Right. One of the last questions would be, since working from home, I have been having lower back pain every day. What could be the reason and what should I do?
The next common question, even we have one here today, low back pain after working on long time in the work from home. Yeah. So the low back pain usually, see, I would say there are two things. One is a physiological, or I would say like more of a postural. Second is a mechanical or anatomic pathological part of it. See, the most common back pain is going to be the wrong posture. If you have a proper, even if a proper ergonomically designed chair, if I don't sit in a proper way, if I just go front and slouch back, or if I still sit here and slouch front, they don't solve the purpose. The purpose of building an ergonomically custom-made chairs are to support your back. They are arched in such a way that your spine is supported. So you have to have a proper chair. You have to sit it in a proper way. Even though if you have a chair, it doesn't make that you are completely fine. You have to sit properly. Next is you will have to take a break and walk. Sitting for long, see your lumbar spine, the spine and the lower half of the back, they are in such a way that they get more strain when you sit for long. The pressure increases 2 to 3 times when you sit for long. So if you have already a poor core muscle and if you sit for long, the disc herniates easily front. Easily you can treat it by some simple stretching exercises, simple taking a break, walking. You can modify yourself that you stand for some time and work. These are all simple things that you can do. But if you don't get better even with all those, we call some red flag signs in back pain. If you have pain that is radiating and it is causing some numbness, tingling, or if it gets worse when you cough or sneeze, it causes sensation loss around your butt area where you sit, then anything related to loss of sensation, then they are very significant that you should definitely meet your doctor and get some medical advice. Otherwise, most of the back pains you can simply treat it from home with some stretching, some simple exercise, and doing a right posture, right sitting.
Right. So one of the users is asking, I'm having knee pain. Is cold compress better or applying warm water bath better?
The next question is for knee pain, is cold compression or hot compression, which is better? So I'll put it very simple. Leave about the knee pain. When to do a hot pack, when to do a cold pack. Any injury, like if you have an injury now or a week before, you know an injury, okay? You know suddenly there's a swelling. If there is a swelling for any reason, you keep ice packs. Ice packs can decrease the inflammation, decrease the swelling, decrease the load of the injury. But when to keep a hot pack is if you have something for a long duration. For example, arthritis, spondylosis, or any medical condition that has been for a long duration, then think about keeping hot compression. So hot will help morely in the long standing back pain, knee arthritis, those conditions hot packs will help. But anything like acute, you have a knee, you fell down, you hit your foot against a door or your finger against a bed, they all ice pack will help a lot in that way.
The second last question would be that there are a lot of people who have developed a very, very sedentary lifestyle because of the whole work from home mechanism and due to the whole COVID pandemic. Mm-hmm. So what would be your message to them and sort of a guidance to them that they should and they must go out and they must have a proper, brisk walk or something to kind of activate their lifestyle?
Yeah. So the next question is sedentary lifestyle in this pandemic era and how to get back to the getting fitter, basically. So yeah, sedentary lifestyle we all have been living through. We have been asked to do that, stay back home, don't do anything. That was at one point of time, but things are getting near normal now, right now, at least now. So please get out of your sedentary lifestyle. Like I told you, now recently they're classifying, saying like sitting is a new cocaine. So don't be addicted to sitting, don't be a couch potato, get back to your fitness, enroll yourself in some program. I know you're all afraid about meeting people, but right now slowly medical field is thinking like open spaces are much better. You can have some workout in the open spaces, walking, running, or even group workouts in open space with social distancing. They all will definitely be very useful. And even for COVID, exercise has been one of the important predictors of having a good outcome. So exercise, they naturally produce so many good things, especially the endorphins, other good hormones basically. So they all will be beneficial for you, but with the due respect to the government guidelines and the medical fraternity guidelines, better to do in an open space. But the gyms are open now, even the government has asked the gyms to be open. But I would say like open space, running, walking, even simple walking is good enough. Running, walking, group exercise, some high intensity interval training, anything of that sort. But make sure that at least you do some 20 to 40 minutes of workout in some fashion every day, so that your muscles, everything, like your body, whole your circulation, your hormones, everything will get back to your normalcy. And it's high time you all go back to some sort of physical activities.
Now we've almost covered everything that we were supposed to cover. Now the last thing that we would request you to say is, what are the long-term complications that we are looking at for people who are right now bearing this kind of pains day-to-day basis and all? What are the long-term complications they probably develop and then go for, let's say, is it frozen shoulder, is it arthritis, what are the things?
Sure. So the last question is like, what are the long-term complications or problems that are looking from the consequence of things you're doing right now? Like what we're looking currently is this nerve-related complications, the carpal tunnel, the tarsal tunnel, the ulnar entrapment. they are all little common because of the lifestyle or the work ergonomically bad work style, I would say. Second is, definitely there is a lot of psychological problem happening. I think all the psychiatrists are facing unprecedented increase in the consultation these days, because everyone is at home, everyone facing a lot of because when you go out you ventilate yourself. All the time you're home, you end up having a lot of both, I would say, like household troubles and the workplace trouble. So do some sort of physical activity, entertain yourself, read books, do physical activity, talk with friends. You can even do virtual talks. So keep yourself engaged in some or the other. On long term, definitely psychiatric complications are definitely going to be on high rise. I am personally worried predominantly with the kids, because they are not going to school, they don't have kids interaction, they don't have peer influence, they don't know what is sharing. So that is one of the major thing that I am personally thinking about. Coming to the physical part of it, definitely nerves are going to be one of the major issue. Sedentary lifestyle is going to put a lot of people into the back problem, predominantly the spine problem, both the cervical and the lower lumbar spine. Generally, like all muscle wastings, osteoporosis, because you don't move, your muscles are not firing, your bones are also going to end up having osteoporosis. If not osteoporosis, at least one level before the osteopenia. They are all the long-term consequences that I'm looking for. At least leave about the kids part. The other things, definitely it's under our hands. If we can seriously look into things and do little consciously, we can definitely avoid all those. Things are more brighter probably in the near future. We should be prepared for that, as physically and mentally. So I hope this will be some useful information for you, and we are happy to answer. This link will be there for some time. Whatever questions you have, please share to us. We'll get back to you at the earliest.
You can talk about the expertise of the orthopedic team.
MGM per se, I think you all know it's one of the state-of-the-art hospitals right there in the middle of the Chennai, and we have all the specialties in all the departments. We have best of doctors here. In particular, if you want to talk about the orthopedics, our department, we have a beautiful team of doctors with Dr. A.B. Govindaraj heading the department, and we are 8 doctors in the team. We do everything from complex trauma to joint replacements, arthroscopy, sports injury, and spine surgery. So we cover all the aspects of orthopedics, and we are a holistic team. We are a very good team together. So looking forward to support you if you need anything. Thank you. Sorry?
Mention thank you to them.
I thank Reliance General Insurance for the opportunity to talk to your team, and I'm looking forward to see more output from your side. We are more than happy to help you. We're more than happy to answer you rather, and thank you.